Assalamualaikum. Let's start our presentation with a simple but important question. What is user experience or UX? UX is all about how a user feels when they interact with the product, system, or in our subject, the mobile app. It's not just about whether something works, it's about how easy, how satisfying, and how effective the overall experience is for the user. Here are some key aspects that define a good user experience. First, we look at one of the important topic in this subject is usability. Is the product or our app easy to use? Can users accomplish their tasks without confusion? Next, we have accessibility. Can everyone use it, including those with disability or handicap or different need? Depends on situation sometimes. Next, we have desirability. Is it emotionally engaging? Does it look and feel appealing? Next, usefulness. Does the product actually help the user achieve their goals or solve their problems? Credibility. Do users feel they can trust the product or the brand behind it? Or particularly, for example, if you submit your data using the mobile app, does your data being handled properly? Does it comply with the PDPA or Personal Data Act? Then we have findability. Can the user quickly locate or find what they need within the app? Now that we have understand what is user experiences in general, let's talk about how it applies specifically to mobile app design. Designing for mobile isn't just about making things smaller. It's about creating an experience that fits how, when, and where people use their phone. A good mobile UX ensures that user can complete the task smoothly, whether they are on the bus, in a meeting, or in a rush. In any situation, like them to have a good user experience. Let's have a look at the table here. These are some of the key mobile specific principles that designers and developers need to consider. Navigation, responsiveness, screen size, context of use, offline or latency, and platform guideline. Let's have a look at this animation. There are too many buttons at the navigation bottom bar, which is very close to each other. A good approach is your shortcut or icon should be large enough so that we can consider it to be thumb friendly. Thumb friendly means it's not hard to tap, it's reachable, and in terms of size, there are some guide given. For example, here 44 pixel by 44 pixel is suitable. Android and iOS have their recommendation on the size of the icon. For example, iOS, the size is 44 by 44. Okay, example as shown here. If it's too small, then it's not thumb friendly. Responsiveness is critical because mobile user expect fast loading time and smooth transition, and this must be tested on not only high-end devices, you have to test with the common devices. So let's say currently a lot of users are still using Android 9 or 10, so you have to test it on 9 and 10. Okay, how do you know what are the most popular Android devices? You can have a look at the statistic. Example here, AppBrain have a statistic on percentage of Android based on version. So if you look at 2025, the largest portion is Android 14. And there are still some users using 8 and 9. Okay, so the market share is as shown here. So we can focus on maybe 14, 13, 11 because these are the bigger chunk of the chart. Yeah, so at least you focus to Android 10 for 2025. They are still relevant because 7.7% are still using Android 10. Okay, so you have to test the responsiveness of the app, not only on the latest version. Of course, it's fast, but you have to test with the most common. We look at the market statistic. We find some test statistic. For example, this one is appbrain.com. There are some other resources that you can look into as well. Okay. Next, we have a look at the screen size. Efficient use of limited space, large tap targets for the thumb especially. How do you identify what are the popular screen sizes? If we look at the current statistic, example, I'm looking for most popular mobile screen resolution 2025. There are several interesting search results here. Let's have a look at this one, mobile screen resolution stat. Okay, if you look at the graph here, the highest here is, you point at the graph, 360 by 800. Second in the graph, okay, 390 times 844. Okay, so I think it's already arranged according to the popularity. Next is the context of use. Mobile apps are often used in short bursts, short time, short duration. So the experience must be fast and focused. But of course, there are apps where you spend time on it more than 10 minutes, for example. So the context of use when the duration is short compared to long might have different in terms of the interface design. Next, offline and latency. Does it work well without internet at all or with a slow internet connection? And with limitation like battery life. So you have to consider all these factors. And finally, we have to fulfill some of the requirement given by iOS and Android. Okay, so if you are iOS designer, you have to comply with the iOS human interface guidelines. So if you go to Apple documentation or you search Apple HIG, it is the guideline for you when you are designing any application for any Apple platform. Okay, for example, here we have camera control, gesture, immersive. Okay, the icon itself. So let's take a peek on this app icon. Okay, so it has some best practices of the icon. Example, simple icon is what the user need. For designer, maybe you can design a good looking icon, but what users are looking for is something which they can identify easily. Next, we have a look at the top UX framework for mobile app development. If you are a developer for mobile app, you should follow some of this according to the rank given here. If you are iOS developer, you follow the human interface guideline by Apple. If you are Android developer, you follow the material design guideline. Okay, number 3 is a more general framework, which is called design thinking. Then we have something which is very popular among academicians, Garrett 5 lanes of UX. And then we have number 5, lean UX, for those who are doing their development using agile approach. So let's have a look at some of the popular framework. If you search the 5S of UX, you'll get this summary. What is 5S in UX design? So we have this model, and if you click any of this article, have the good explanation on the 5 elements of UX. The 5S you can summarize in this diagram: surface, skeleton, structure, scope, strategy. Okay, the top of the diagram is something physical or concrete. The bottom of the diagram is something abstract. It might be a concept. Okay, so the top of the chart is the final product. You can see it, you can feel it. This is a more detailed diagram. Top of the chart is example is the sensory design, something physical. And then below the sensory design is the information design, interface design, navigation design. Okay, so if you have a handphone, sensor is something physical. It might be the camera sensor, might be your other sensors like the touch screen itself. Then below it is the navigation of the mobile app. And then we have the structure. Okay, the interaction design, the information architecture, how you organize the data, the database, the interaction from one screen to another. And then the scope, what are the available functions in your app. And then strategy. Before you do the app, you have to do some research. This research includes what are the user needs, what are your app objective. So the bottom layer is something abstract, top of the layer is the final product or the final app, the look and feel. The definition of MVP, okay, it's simplest version of the product that you need to build to sell it to the market. And it was introduced by the lean startup genius. Haven't check what is lean. Okay, so lean startup is methodology for developing business and product that emphasizes rapid experimentation. Okay, so this is a methodology for developing business that have fast cycle, yeah. Lean means it doesn't have extra fat. Thin but healthy. So usually you describe something like this. It's lean muscular body. So little fat. You apply this concept to example lean manufacturing. Okay, means we want to reduce waste. We want to manufacture a product, produce a product with minimal waste. How about in design? Do we have lean development or lean software development, which is useful in mobile app development. It's a type of an approach where you focus on this element: speed, efficiency, and customer value. We want to eliminate waste, just like you see the definition of lean just now. We want to reduce the fat. Okay, so here we want to eliminate waste and at the same time maximizing user feedback, and we want to improve the app continuously. That's the lean app development approach. It is very popular among startup and agile environment. If you are doing mobile app development, usually the approach is agile strategy, and you'll come across lean UX. We go deeper a bit. Lean UX is a collaborative, iterative way of designing and building product. If we talk about mobile app, usually we are going to implement Lean UX in the agile methodology. You see any company using agile methodology because it's one of the fastest way to come out with the end product. Okay, so what are the principle of Lean UX? Okay, we want to make sure that our product are solving the problem of the user. That is the priority. Okay, whereas on the traditional approach, we are likely to come out with product that are designed for the sake of an output, but sometimes it does not solve the user problem. So that's the problem when you develop a software. You have an output, but the output doesn't solve some of the user's problem. Another problem is there are waste, particularly time are wasted, resources are wasted. So Lean UX try to reduce this waste, shorten the development time, and cut costs if possible. Okay, so the concept is we build early and quickly. That is the approach of Lean user experience. There are three cycles or phases: think, make, and check. Let's go through this quickly. What are think, make, and check? First, you have to do the thinking. Okay. You come up with some assumption as a developer. You identify who the user are, what the product you are designing is used for when, and the functions of the product. Okay, next, you make the product. Okay, do the product that you want to come up with, usually we come up with the MVP first, minimum viable product, the basic version of your app. Finally, you check, get feedback from the user, do A/B testing, site analytic. Those are the kind of uh, methods that you can use. Test. What is A/B testing? Another name for it is split testing. You have two options, for example. It might be different style, it might be different layout, it might be different type of flow. And then you want to measure which of these, either A or B, come out with a better outcome. Usually better outcome are indicated by metrics like more sign up, higher retention, better engagement, more profit. So we do a test by changing the style. For example, we can use different UI element. We can use different step for the user. Okay, we can use different style of notification. Notification can be changed in terms of frequency. Okay, then for subscription, maybe you have different pricing model. One, maybe you test version A is free trial for 7 days. B is non-free at all. You have to start with a minimal subscription. Example of how we do A/B testing. You test as simple as different color. Green button, does it work better than the blue button? Okay, it looks like a silly test, but sometimes difference in terms of caption or even color have different outcome. So A is the blue button, B is the green button. We test the user. Okay, half of the user will be exposed to version A, another half, let's say you have 20 user that will test your product. So half of them, 10 will be given with the version A button, which is blue, and the other half will see the blue button. And then you come out with the analysis of the outcome. What is mobile app retention? Example, percentage of users who return to the app after their first visit over a specific time period. Example, after 1 day, after 7 days, after 1 month, how many of the user return or open the app again after their first experience. Might be installation, or if it's a mobile app, after their first visit. Let's see how the example of it is calculated. Usually, if you are an app developer, it is displayed in your dashboard. You already publish in Google Play Store. There are some statistics, for example, retention. Here are some example. One example only. 1,000 people install your app on day 0. And then 300 user use it again in day 1. So day 1 retention is 30%. 3,000 out of, 300 out of 1,000, that will be 30%. 150 use again in day 7. So the retention is now 150 over 1,000, that will be 15%. Okay, so a higher retention rate is preferable. You can measure the success of your app based on retention. For example, this is the average industry benchmark. Your app can be considered good if your retention rate is around these figures. Day 1 retention 25 to 30%, after 1 week 10 to 50%, after 30 days 4 to 7%. So we need to monitor this, and it's actually being monitored in your Google Play Store.